Monk Jake here with what turned out to be my third Mark of Excellence battle in the St Emil, in which I found myself bottom tier on Redshire, and with a couple of artillery. Not normally the ideal matchup for the St Emil. Normally, any game without artillery is good for it because being a slow and large, low armored tank destroyer, it tends to be a favorite target for any artillery player. It doesn't really care, honestly, about the tiering. It's much like the Panther in that way. The gun is more than good enough that if you're bottom tier facing tier 8s and 9s, your weaponry is actually still good enough. It finds itself, actually, and maybe sometimes in better shape in lower tier battles when it's low tier. Now, against tier 8s and 9s, of course, you carry the same weapon that you find on the Jagdpanther 2, the Ferdinand, the Scorpion G, and also the E75 at tier 9. And of course, I just named off 3 tier 8 tank destroyers. So if you're carrying a weapon that's actually good enough to be still used 2 tiers higher, what are you giving up? Well, I've already named it. The slow, large, and low armored nature of this thing leaves it to be very inflexible. And, of course, if you look at the ammo, you only have 15 shots. So you have to make them count. And I'm somebody who loves the blind fire, and I even do it here in this battle. Which, if you find yourself on Redshire in a St Emil, this is one of the best positions you can possibly go to. Get here into the trees and shrubs, and pre-aim over towards the heavy crossing. I've already managed to hit their T-32. You'll generally get 1, maybe 2 hits in, though the reload's long on the St Emil, which of course is a balancing feature. But you're going to at least get a average of around 500 damage within your first shot or two. And knocking over trees is good, but it's also risky. I knocked over the one there to provide myself with a little more concealment towards the castle. But if artillery players are paying attention, some will immediately target a downed tree in this area, so be very watchful. And the gun is the best thing about the St Emil. The second best thing is the gun depression, which you can make use of in many situations, including on this ridge line. As you see here, I'm able to easily poke over. So the main 2 features of the St Emil are the very hard-hitting gun. That's the 12.8 with an average damage of 490, average penetration of 248, if I remember right. And that's more than good enough to deal with anything this thing sees outside of the absolute most heavily armored tanks, like, say, a Type 4 Heavy's front. You don't have any access to premium rounds, so you have to do it the old way. AP and a little bit of HE. Now, the side of a 263, yeah, if I can actually hit it. It sailed a little low, and at times the St Emil's gun can do that. I've had many games where very frustrating situations where I've had stationary targets, I'm fully aimed, and it did not live up to its paper stats. I'm going to have a situation here in just a second on the side of that VK who is definitely playing a risky game. With there being an ISU, myself in the St Emil, and an Object 263 on this ridgeline, that VK keeps poking, and he keeps getting lucky. And I have just a tiniest little fraction of the outline of that Jagdpanther exposed. I didn't take the shot because it's not worth it. And normally, if I was in something like my Panther, equal tier vehicles of St Emil, I would have definitely flung a shot there. The extremely low percentage chance, but with something like a Panther that has an insanely fast reload and a high ammo capacity, a miss doesn't matter. Because, especially with something fast firing, it's more of you don't hit any shot that you don't take. Right here, side of the VK. I know what happened. It's actually sailed a little low. It hit his road wheel, and if we were actually able to track the trajectory of the shell from the angle I'm above him, It hit the road wheel and passed underneath his tank. Should have tracked him, because it would have, of course, blasted the road wheel completely. It would have sheared it in half. But this game doesn't model that. But I should have at least tracked him, I think. They need to actually look into that personally. But that's the only lucky shot anybody gets. The rest, they actually have to deal with the 12.8 properly. Like this AE Phase 1, I don't know what he's thinking. I mean, AE Phase 1 is one of the most dominant Tier 9 tanks, but not to the side. That was a crazy move. I don't know what he was thinking, to be honest. And the lucky VK finally goes down. It's an awesome tank itself. But we actually, at first, were looking kind of bad. Our heavies lost their area despite a couple of those tank destroyers getting early damage into the enemy heavies. And the AE being over here in the west instead, our heavies actually lost the heavy area, which made the game look a little bit in the balance. But some good play here in the middle, and I'm going to shout out our Bat Chat. He's been doing a very good job. He ends up with a high score himself. But the middle has actually been the most effective area. We've been providing support fire. You can see the ISU's been firing. Our Object 263, up until he went down, had been doing a lot. The SU 100M1, and of course that Bat Chat. And that's why this position is so good. On Redshire, if you can get, on this side, if you get the south spawn, if you can get a good light tank player who will run the ridge line that runs diagonal from our position here all the way up towards, say, B7, C7, if he can do loops there, and you got good support covering fire from here, you can cover flanks that get lost. Because, as you see, there's the IS-32. That's the only heavy remaining in the east. And he's got a free open pass all the way to our base. And he will take it shortly. Our Bat Chat's just running rampage back there. He's flushed out. Both of their artillery have actually moved. Now, with the AE down, this is a win. It's a matter of, I'm trying to work on the third mark. I had it at 94.2% before this. And I'm thinking, hey, if I can at least get this artillery, this is not going to be an easy shot. Because turning, pivoting, and trying to fire in the St Emil is its greatest weakness. And my shot gets me spotted. But their IS-32, he decides to slow down to a stop. Now I can actually pull that shot off. But something like this, Lorraine, I mean, I know it's just an artillery, but with him moving crossways, a St Emil has a very, very bad gun traverse. As great as the gun depression is, that's how bad the gun traverse is. You only get a few degrees each way. And it has a large amount of bloom on hull traverse. I actually set mine up with the field modifications to get the bonus to the dispersion under hull movement. Trying to help it, but look at that. The actual shot, my reticle was the size of the screen almost. But our ISU finishes off the last artillery. And it's a win. Earned my third mark in an ace battle, which is quite nice. Got the fire for effect, and a Hallinans, which is a nice one for taking down two tanks that are at least 2 tiers higher than yourself. Finished top on damage, top on experience, in a St Emil while bottom tier. It was a great game. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. And just giving a little bit there, showing I got a blind shot into that 263 to finish out the game. And I'll leave you with the rest of the results right here. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.